and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much.
You know the drill. Give him a pen. Yes.
Mom, you can sit down there. Right there. Right. You can sit on the paper.
Pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1976, the Open Public Meetings Act, Mr. Green, myself, notified the public that the notice of the date, time, location, and agenda of this meeting, to the extent known, was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of the meeting in the following manner. 1, by posting such notice on the public announcement board of the Lakewood Board of Education offices in the Lakewood Township Municipal Building. Number 2, by mailing such notice to the offices of the Asbury Park Press and the Tri-Town News. 3, by filing such notice with the board secretary. 4, by mailing such notice to all individuals who requested and paid for a copy of same. Roll call.
Yes, roll call. Roll call.
Mr. Fink.
Yes, here.
Ms. Gonzalez. Mr. Grunhunt.
Yes.
Ms. Micchio.
Here.
Mr. Oestreicher.
Present.
Mr. Seitler.
Here.
Mr. Silver.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Slackton.
Here.
The quorum, sir.
Mr. President, your show.
No presentation. No meetings. Pardon me. Recognition of the public.
Okay. There are some check-offs here, and what I mean by that is, as you see, there are some people whose names were here were scratched off, so I assume they intended to have their names scratched off. Tracy Tift. Is Tracy Tift here?
He's on his
He's on his way. Oh, he signed it. All right, well, Tracy is on his way, but he did sign it. He's not here. Christine Paserno, is she here? Christine? Do you want to speak?
No.
Okay, just asking Christine. Annette Carney is here. And then I see in purple, does she want to speak?
She?
Annette.
Yes, I would like to speak.
Okay, I'm sorry, no, but the first 2 people didn't want to or are not here.
15 St. Andrews Court. Just real quick, I would like to know where the SES program is for the public school side. We received various phone calls with some concerns, so Dr. Deb, or you can get to me tonight or tomorrow, just let us know where we are with the SES program. Are we on point to start? Because there is some concern in the community.
Through the chair, Dr. McClure, while there is concern, when is the SES program for the, starting for the benefit of the public?
The vendors were already given their list and they okay to start, so it's now in the vendors' hands to actually start the program.
So the parents who selected vendors should be in touch with those vendors?
Yes, they should be hearing from the vendors.
Okay. I'm sorry if, William, Anajek Williams, I'm sorry if I said that wrong.
Najee Williams, 1236 Mendocino Court. I want to make a quick suggestion. Maybe that the board should make a motion that all transportation bids up for approval and all agendas consist of the company, the amount, the route number, number of students being transported, and whether it's to and from. And if we could get that in bold-face type. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. I think we need something more along the lines of consistency. Another question. Under the Title I provisions, when will the curriculum panel be started that includes the parents in making some decisions about the curriculum? Me and the doctor here spoke briefly about a parent portal. I talked with the state. I was wondering how much money is in the 1% set aside, Title I money, the 1% set aside, and they were was told to me that we could use that money to make these technology improvements in the infrastructure, with 5% being the minimum of that money.
I'm assuming you're referring to the money that's going to the parent portion of Title I? Is that what you're speaking of?
Parent involvement, yeah.
Parent involvement, that is set aside. The exact number, I don't know, but I can assure you that that is set aside. It's, we have it set aside for parent liaisons right now, but we are looking into different ways of using technology, and we have different vendors coming in to discuss different data warehousing, different communications, and different ways to upgrade the curriculum through other portions of the money.
Okay. I think that's it.
I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Nayaya Davis. If I'm reading that wrong, I'm sorry.
It's Nadia.
I'm sorry. What's your address now?
15 St. Andrews Drive. Okay. I know other community schools come to our school, like, for their plays and stuff, but I would at least, I'm not the only student, I'm the only student here, I would at least respect that they kept our courtroom and auditorium clean. We come in after weekends, Mondays, there's food on our floors, balloons in the air, papers thrown all over, and missing chairs. And that's one thing we don't want to go back and clean up after, and that's our courtroom from what. And supposedly a Snapple machine, a drink machine, is being brought. And I want to understand why aren't books being brought or props and other things for our musical isn't being provided. Because we need those. Not a Snapple machine. We have 2 of them, 4 of them in each cafeteria. And then we have no extracurricular support. You hear things about JV varsity basketball and girls basketball. You don't hear anything else about other activities. Austin Barney is a member of All Shore Band. I am a member of All Shore Chorus for 2 years straight. You don't hear anything else other than basketball this and basketball that. What about everybody else? That's not fair. So can I please get some answers?
I think the one answer that I will address is that it's unacceptable for you to come into your chorus room and into any of the setting that has been used for outside entities and for it to be unkept and unclean. So, you know, somebody, I mean, community school, from what we're told, that when it's used, that extra services are paid for and contracted for cleanup, that extra security has been utilized in certain cases when need be. So what I'm hearing is that none of that is true.
Through the chair.
So we have to make sure that that occurs, because that is completely and totally unacceptable, because that is not what I hear.
Well, we've been told, and actually the business office can review this, any outside party who uses our facilities has to get a permit, and actually the cleanup service gets paid to be there from what I understand. So if that's happening, we need to look into the contract with our vendor or vendors who are allegedly paid, from what I understand, to guarantee that the usage is monitored and taken care of.
I'm glad Mr. Thomas brought that up, because we're going to look into that now.
Okay.
Through the chair, as a matter of fact, many years ago, I used to do performances for the kids, and we had to pay upfront for the custodial service and cleanup. So it's not, you can't expect kids to be perfectly clean, but you know that there's a cleanup crew behind them cleaning up.
And then the other thing I heard you loud and clear is that, it's great, excuse me guys, excuse me, it's great that we acknowledge these other activities, the sports, the JV basketball, but there's a lot more going on other than that, and that there are other people that need to be acknowledged and recognized as well. And hopefully one of the things we need to do is begin to put together a very detailed report from the student representative, so that they can sit here and that they can help to represent more of those things. Because to be honest with you, I've been to some of the plays, I've been to some of the performances, I've been to sporting events, I've been to this, that, and the other. I don't know how many other people may be able to say that. So I know when I see who performs and those who do these different things. So I do think it's very important that all the children are acknowledged. So hopefully, maybe there can be some way you can work with the student government and say, listen, make sure you're announcing that, I was all, we had all shore members in the chorus, we had all shore in the band, they need to know that some other things are going on. So that's where you can take a proactive stance and say, let's make sure that information is disseminated appropriately.
Through the chair, Dr. McCord, we did this last year, we actually had a beautiful performance by the band. Could we ask Dr. McCord if you could have at the next meeting, in consult with the principal, either the chorus here, the chorus or the band do some sort of performance. Dr. McCord, do you do that?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I don't think Nadia is referring to what you're talking about, because I believe the student representative in most cases does mention of the various different activities and acknowledgments that the various different clubs and performances receive. I was wondering if perhaps, Nadia, if you can help me on that, maybe you're referring to publicity through the press, and is there any way of having the press write about these things and having whether it's a news conference or a press release or something to that effect, to point out the beautiful things of our district rather than them always dwelling on the negatives?
We have set up a reporting form for the district for PR and all the things happening in the schools so that we can disseminate it to the newspapers. So once it comes to this district, we are able to, the district office, we do contact the newspapers to then go back and talk to the principals. I will go to the principals and again let them know that this is important for all of us because we need to know if the district office.
Okay, Barbara Cutter.
Through the chair, please.
Yes.
You're in the high school, actually, correct?
Yeah, I'm seeing you.
We've been asking all year that the administration starts doing some PR work on good things. As another board member had said all year, we would like to see some good things coming out of the Lakewood schools rather than all negativity. So I appreciate your comments. Miss Yuli's the principal there?
Yes, she is in consult with Dr. McCora and Ms. Silver.
Has she written anything to the administration on this?
Actually, I received some of her memos to the administration as to issues at the high school, positive issues. But this would be a practice that needs to go into place from the top down, Mr. Fink, as you've told the superintendent. I agree with Mr. Fink. I don't know why we're still here almost at the end of the year, February, and we still can't get it right, which is the problem. We have so many positive things going on at the high school, middle school, and the grade schools. Perhaps we need to, as Mr. Fink has asked for in the past, correctly so, the board would like, I assume, we'd like once a month a listing of all the activities that are going on in our schools. And if you could relate to Ms. Silva, Dr. McCora, which she's been related to already, that we'd like a presentation here more often than not of the students in our schools.
I will do that.
We have something that was called coming events, and we knew what was going on, and the students could prophesy about it. Send it to the paper, and then we'll put it in. We don't have a public relations person.
No, the last person was Dr. Weintraub. He also did Title I. Barbara Cutter.
Barbara Cutter, 65 Drake Road. In addition to what Nadine said, she is performing this Saturday at Neptune High School. for her own short. So good luck with that.
What time?
I'm going to touch it.
And I think what Lydia was also referring to was not, things not being announced. It's not being announced in the school either. You know, so no one is aware that these things happen unless the student themselves say, hey, I was accepted and I'm participating in it. I'm very frustrated that, again, we're here in February and we're still talking about the same thing. Again, I'm going to bring up with the mic about security in the buildings, particularly in the high school. Again, we're still talking about these issues. I myself being in the school, I'm followed around and escorted around as an involved parent, yet kids are wandering everywhere. No one's asking them where they're going, where they belong. They're just everywhere. Other community members are coming in, setting up for the weekend events, and you know, you're kind of told, well, they can do what they want. Well, why is that? So there's a huge issue in this school, and it needs to be dealt with now. Enough is enough. I mean, it can't wait till June. It has to be dealt with now. I emailed Ms. Silva and asking her if any grants were put in for security. Got no response back. Also, in addition to the SES, I hear stuff talked about it being set up and it's going to start and all that, but what I'm still not hearing, and I keep asking, is parent involvement. Has that put in place? Because according to the rules, there has to be parent involvement, a committee put together immediately, and there also has to be a committee that oversees and makes sure that everything is happening. Has that been put in place?
Dr. LaCora?
That committee was part of the parent liaison committee. The parent liaisons met first. Ms. Silva is putting together the community outreach portion of that committee. I would think that you would probably hear by the end of next week for that portion of that committee. Regarding the grant, I think Mr. Green.
Yes, Mr. Green did want to speak about it. Mr. Green, if you would take the microphone. Mr. Green is our new BA. Welcome to Lakewood.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rickleman and Dr. McCord. I was asked to look into a grant that was received by the Brick Board of Education just recently. It was posted in the paper. Okay, and I did look into it, although it is common knowledge that the grant comes from the New Jersey School Boards Association Insurance Group, and you must be a member of the. You must be a part of that group. We don't buy our insurance through that company, and that is a bid process that goes out, and it is awarded to the lowest bidder. So I'm not sure of what happened in the past, whether they were included, whether they submitted a bid or not. Certainly in the future, I will certainly solicit from them when we do go out to bid for insurance services. But you cannot receive a grant through that company unless you are a member of their group. What I am going to speak to the other administrators about very shortly is just about other grant opportunities that might be available at the state and federal level, especially not just for security, but for other academic reasons. I've seen success in the past with other school districts utilizing a grant writer, but I'd like to reserve any more comment about that until I speak to the superintendent.
Pastor Jackson?
Good evening, everybody. That's Earl Jackson, 271 Chapaka Road. Did anyone, whoever set up this board meeting tonight, was there any knowledge of what was going on downtown? So far as the street being named after the officer that was wrong. Nobody knew anything about that? Because it was, I felt there was a conflict of interest. I felt that the whole town should be together on this one thing. And to have a board meeting set up at the same time when we are honoring an officer, that wasn't nice. Perhaps we can work together in the future.
Is there any other comments, sir?
Good.
Well, I can honestly say that as the board president, I undoubtedly get a call as to whether or not we need to have emergency meetings. And when I did get the call for the emergency meeting, I did not have knowledge, or if there was knowledge, it wasn't at the tip of my tongue when they called me at work. Amidst the things I was going, I just looked at my schedule and availability and said it's an emergency and we need to do it. And in all honesty, you know, for that, I'll say, yeah, you know, hopefully going forward, it could be I'd be a little more in tune, or someone could be a little more in tune to the things that are going on. And I think what that does lend itself to is that we need to have a much better communication with the law enforcement here in town, because, you know, I do agree it would have been much more fitting for us to be there helping to honor that officer.
Kim Singleton?
Just one
Yeah,
through Chair.
yes.
I believe I read it in the press today, it must have been announced yesterday, and we scheduled the meeting 2 days ago. So
Whatever it might be, obviously it was not done.
It was announced last week.
It wasn't done purposefully. The main reason we had the meeting, which is a credit to our building and ground chairperson, who as soon as he learned of an issue requested an emergency meeting, is at the middle school, as you know, it's called the canopy. That canopy has an issue with safety. As soon as the chairman and the board learned of that, it needs to come down right away. That's where everything, the canopy outside. That is the initial reason why we were here this evening, because we were told, albeit belatedly, by our staff that needs to come down. So this meeting was scheduled within the 48 hours as soon as we learned of that. So when you see the canopy coming down at the middle school, please don't think it's because it's a danger, and we are scheduling that to occur as soon as possible. Correct, Mr. Green?
Correct.
All right, Kim, and we're not selling the school or doing anything of that sort, just removing what's been notified to the board building and ground chairperson belatedly. Again, as soon as he found out, he asked for the special meeting.
Okay.
Kim Singleton?
Kim Singleton, 1415 Dollar Street. I wanted to know, and piggyback with Annette said, I got my 5th application for the SES, and I'm trying to find out why I have to fill out 5 applications for the SES when I've already filled out 4. And then also, I brought a couple of students with me that attend the middle school. My son is one. Unfortunately, he had to leave because I'm trying to get a community-based SAVE program, which is Students Against Violence Everywhere, started because it is greatly needed in the middle school. And I brought a couple of students that could verify what is going on in the middle schools as far as the violence and the weapons and things that's going on, and why we greatly need it sooner than later. And I hope that this doesn't linger on like the book situation. So I would like feedback from the board tonight as to how soon we can get this started. And I'd like to have myself as well as other community leaders trained in this area.
Through the chair. Dr. McCora, are you aware of this?
Yes.
Okay, so can you report to the board?
First, you really only need to fill out 1 SES form, not 5, so I don't know if they were sent home to you, just to make sure that everyone has received one, because the schools don't keep the checklist, this district office does. So they just probably sent it out to make sure that kids are signing up. It was a proactive thing to do. In regards to
Just make sure we don't register too many as we've done in the past.
Correct. In regards to SAVE, we've had meetings. We had a meeting last week, you and I, discussing the fact that it's being researched in terms of how well and effective it is, and that I cannot put people into training at present because there is no training going on. I've been discussing this with school board. They have the school base. They have a new director. We're looking at I had a meeting after you left with other forms of preventive measures for the middle school. We've discussed this. So should we move ahead with SAVE, who we train would be part of a committee to discuss who would be that person. We've had multiple discussions.
Thank you, Doctor. Elijah Singleton?
Okay, then I said he had to leave us.
Oh, I'm sorry. VJ, I just...
Okay, he's here.
Okay. If
We
he
won't
wants
stand
to.
with him because he's had a shot. He's from the middle school.
Okay.
You can share some of the things that you've experienced.
Victor Dolgen, 1449 Village. I would like to talk about the violence that's been going on in Lakewood Middle School, and I think there should be something done about it. Like, these kids are bringing drugs, violent things to school, and my opinion is it has to be stopped because kids these days are like smoking outside of the schools, like in the bathroom, and it needs to be something done about it. in middle school.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
That's the entire public.
Sorry, Mike.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Thanks.
We would have to have,
All in favor that we let?
Oh, okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Tiff?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sorry.
I was asking-
He was on
I
it,
was at the
but
ceremony.
you were on it, Mr. Robin?
No, I wasn't, but I was since you had the function, you just.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Let me do this first, please, so we're consistent and treat all equal. Tracy Tiff was here, I did call his name, he was not here. Now he is asking to be heard, and now the board apparently has said he could be heard, even though he hasn't. So let's deal with that first. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. 1380 Passing Street. One quick question about the violence in the school. You know, it's very rare that you have a student that comes here and tries to express what goes on inside the school, and especially if there's smoking going on in the school, which there shouldn't be. You know, one of the things that we talked about before is, and I'm not sure what you have for a guy, is that the school needs to have a security director to make sure that the security guards in that school are doing their job. You don't have one right now. Mrs. Julie is in charge of security. She can't handle it. She really can't. She's wearing, like last meeting, she's wearing several hats. You know, security should not be her area of responsibility.
Nor should it be apparently Ms. Maldonado.
Exactly. It should be a security director to make sure that the security people that you pay to come into the school are doing their job. Enough on that. I did a little research from the last meeting that we had as far as the busing situation, as far as the misquotes that they put inside the agenda. On the state website, I looked at some information as far as the contracting of transportation. The way that it's supposed to work, and I know Mike's probably aware of this, anytime that a bus company has an error in their either routing or in the amount of money that they charge, the bid is supposed to go back up for bid. It's supposed to go back up for bid to give all the other companies that didn't get a chance to put in a second bid. Because now the company is not the lowest bidder anymore. They're now top bidder because they're resubmitting a different amount than what they originally set. And that's according to the state. And we need to make sure that we make these bus companies, we have to enforce that. Because if not, they're getting over on the board and on the taxpayers. Very, very important.
I agree wholeheartedly with, I'm sorry if you're not done, I'll wait.
Now, one more thing. On the agenda, section 8, number 2, the petition of the payment of rent for non-public schools in Title I. It doesn't have an amount there. Is there a reason for that? That there's no amount?
Are you done?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
All right, regarding the busing, you raise a valid point. Well, we have been assured by Ms. Bunnell that it wasn't that the bus companies did something wrong, it was the people upstairs who miswrote it. However, we do have a full-time excellent director, as a credit to the board as it is now configured, Gus the Bus, which is an email if you want to email him, gusthebus@pinehurst.org. I would ask Dr. McCord if you could let Gus the Bus look into this issue. I believe we were told, I know we were told by Ms. Bunnell, it wasn't the bus companies who wrote the wrong numbers, it was the issue upstairs writing the wrong numbers, that is, recording it. So we'll ask Gus the Bus to look into that. Dr. McCord today? Yes? Doctor?
Yes.
Okay, as far as with the President's permission, number 2, what we're looking to do there, it is my legal opinion, has been and will be, I don't care who likes it or not, is that the non-public schools have a right to be paid out of not public money, not local funds, not public Title I, but have a right to be paid for the usage of their facilities. That is not agreed upon by the New Jersey Department of Ed. Interestingly, there is an update. As far as Title I have been informally advised they have changed that opinion, and that Title I they are now saying we can pay non-publics from their money, not from public, not from local funds. We haven't gotten in writing, but that's what we've been told. As far as 192, we're looking for the same idea. Again, not coming from local and not coming from public school funds. So that is what it is, and the amount to petition, well, it's first a petition to allow us to do it. And then once we do it, the board has instructed the appropriate employees, to their credit, to configure and figure out the amount needed. That answers that question.
And Ms. Silva is in charge of that?
Which part?
Chapter 192.
Well, Ms. Silva's in charge of everything, ultimately. And what else was there?
He spoke to the security, he spoke to the safety officer, the director, who we, the position that we didn't.
Yes, actually, a credit to the board, I might add again. While we differ at times, they've made this a priority security. They actually asked the superintendent. If you were here last time, I played it very bluntly. We keep on hearing about future tense. Will, not now. Board members remember that. We were assured at the next regular scheduled meeting, if you recall, you do, Tracy and others, we will have a security proposal to review. Does the board remember that?
Yeah, we emailed her as well.
Yeah, so the board, to their credit, is pushing the superintendent. To be fair to her, it was for the next regularly scheduled meeting, which, when is that meeting, sir or ma'am, the next regularly scheduled meeting? February 24th. Be here, we all expect to have a security proposal by dear Dr. Silver, Dr. McCora, and whoever else is so employed. Okay?
For the chair?
Yeah.
For the chair, please?
Yes.
Then I would like, I'm sorry. I would like to make a few motions. Is this the time to do it, please?
I think.
Through the chair, the appropriate, Mr. Fink has the absolute right that it remains my ruling that he has the right as any member to make motions. I can just ask Mr. Fink, Mr. Silver needs to leave shortly. He already has a personal commitment, he has done it as a part of his duties to the community, he has stayed a little extra. Can we vote on the agenda first? Would that affect your motion?
No.
So could we vote on the agenda? There are some changes, modifications based on discussions in closed session and otherwise. So Mr. Green, good luck.
Okay, there's a few changes as was dictated in the meeting, in the executive session. On page 1, sorry, is that page 1?
Yeah, it says page 1.
There we go, page 1 on top. Okay, page 1, number 2 of the business administrator recommendations. We're adding to that should the state reject payment to the district to amend the contract to allow Catapult and Tree of Learning, Tree of Knowledge, to acquire space independently of the board, and that the board will pay those vendors.
So in English, just so we're all aware what we're voting for, should the state continue with their position, we will not challenge it, but in addition, we will attempt to pay the vendor to pay the school.
This is on 192.
Yeah, 192. As long as Title I, they put in writing that we're allowed to pay.
Okay, the second change to the agenda is on page 3 at the top for appointments.
Letter F1 is being removed, that person is not taking the position.
Correct.
Okay, as well as page 3, item K1.
We have an addendum we are adding, I believe it was passed out to the board members.
Yes. To the miscellaneous item is employee 4353, to send that employee for 2 fit for duty evaluation. Meridian Health, his appointment is February 16th. Dr. Tobey, psychiatrist, February 22nd.
Okay, and one other item.
For the chair.
Yes.
Through the chair. Page 3, that employee, 4353, I'd like to take off this agenda. I'd like to make a motion on that.
Okay, so and Mr. Fink has that right to do that. If we could just give you, when we get it, give us a second just to do all the changes, and then we'll get to that, Mr. Fink. And there's one more change, that would be to hire as a substitute at substitute pay, Louis Pezzaganelli, P-E-Z-Z-E-N-G-N-L-L-I. Those are the changes, modifications you have, sir?
Yes, that is all.
I want to ask the board, because the ongoing issue with the rental, did we cover all the things discussed in closed session, which is contractual and allowed? Okay? With that, Mr. Fink did want to address if I could, did want to address that item with the employee 4353, who has been on leave with pay, I believe since January 10, 2011, with the board president's permission, may we?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Fink, the floor is
I would
yours.
like to amend the agenda for tonight. Page 3, item K, line 1, employee 4353, fire him outrightly.
Leave without pay. Is that the same thing?
That's correct.
So you want it to be leave without pay or fire him?
No, I want to fire him outright. Let the courts fight and attend to
I can only give you the advice as your attorney that employees who are tenured.
It's not in the second, though.
Oh.
It's not even in the second yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, I won't get my.
Would you consider changing that to leave without pay?
No, I am looking to fire that employee outright.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Okay.
There is now a second, Mr. President, I believe, Mr.
Yes,
Seibert.
there is.
May I give my legal opinion? Fortunately or not, there are laws that cover tenured teachers, at least until our governor gets his hands on it, to his credit. At this point, teachers who are tenured do have legal protections, one of them being you can't just fire them if they are tenured. You need to go through the process. I just want to advise you of that legal position.
Okay, I'm still making the motion to fire the teacher.
Okay, question in a second. Any discussion?
I have a question. Is leave without pay any better legally?
Leave without pay would be somewhat better. Again, there are some legal issues with that. But Mr. Fink was asked, and it's his motion. So we now...
Any other questions concerning this particular motion?
Yeah, what are we exposing ourselves to if we do approve this motion? In other words,
a lawsuit.
A lawsuit by the teacher, by the union, or by who?
Well, I'm not here to be a prophet of doom, but again, there are 57,000... What are you saying, Tracy?
No.
There are at least, maybe more at this point, tens of thousands of lawyers. Then you will be opening yourself up to a very potential lawsuit. Okay?
Any other questions concerning this matter? No. Call it.
And now, when you say call it, we're calling the agenda as amended, as further amended by Mr. Fink. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay? Just so the people who keep the votes and everything else here. So now you've been instructed to call it. Mr. Green.
Mr. Fink.
Yes.
Mr. Gernhunt. Mrs. Micchio.
Yes, and everything except I abstained.
Now it's the entire motion as amended, as modified, as Mr. Fink. Your vote. And the motion. What is?
I have to abstain in his motion.
All right, so you're voting yes except for his motion, ma'am?
Except you're abstaining on K1.
As Mr. Fink amended. Okay, next.
Mr. Ostriker.
Yes on the agenda as amended and no on the Fink addendum.
Thank you. Mr. Seidler.
Yes.
Mr. Silver.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Slatkin.
Yes, it says K1.
We have 5.
The motion passes. I do again advise the board of the legal position. Okay? Are there any other motions, Mr. Fink? You said you had motions.
Well, Mr. Fink, would you defer to me, because I have a motion now.
Yes, I defer.
Before that, Mr.
Yes.
Mr. I just want to make a comment regarding what the board just voted on. Why would we pay an attorney to protect us if we're not going to listen to his advice?
Because sometimes we do what we want to do.
Okay. I want that to be on the record.
That's the answer. So, yes, sometimes it's like that.
Okay.
I would like to read into the record a motion. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the many people who over the years have supported me and entrusted me with the awesome responsibility of being a Board of Education member. parents, children, religious leaders, civic leaders, and countless others, it is with a heavy heart and much deliberation that I will be resigning from this board as a member effectively at the end of this meeting. Over the last 8 years and 10 months, I have learned, I have grown, I have observed, and more importantly, I have had the honor to affect the lives of more than 2,000 children that have graduated from our high school. There are a litany of reasons that I must tender my resignation at this time, but I must first speak to a few of them. As I fought for what seemed like basic rights, each year that fight seemed to have gotten harder and harder, and some of those rights started to become just wishes. I speak about some things such as fighting the fight to not sell buildings that I thought we should continue to keep, fighting not to allow buildings to be built on our properties and utilizing different parking, utilizing our facilities in ways that I didn't agree with, fighting for staff and fighting for individuals to have jobs and to be here. Having said that, you know, I have fought various portions of the community who may have felt entitled to various different either services or programs, and many times I feel as though that is some of the things that may overtake this district. And then on the other hand, I've represented a community that on many occasions I've felt hasn't been out to support, that has been minimally supportive at best. And recently I can say that we've had a very supportive group in the Unite group. Had it not been for the children's smiles and the many hugs and dreams and hopes, I would have done this a long time ago. These facts, coupled with my current personal responsibilities, challenges, as well as professional responsibilities and challenges, leave me with no other recourse than to resign effectively at the end of this meeting. I only ask that this board consider a few things, and here are one statement. Hope deferred is truly not hope at all. The lives of these children and the future of Lakewood is definitely in the hands of this Board of Education. Having said all of that, I know that there are legal ramifications and probably this may not be precedent, but it is my desire, strong desire, that this board think long and hard about replacing me immediately with Mr. Tiff. I think that it's imperative that this Board of Education have another member who has children in our public schools that can add ways and add insight and information to what it is that we do when we make decisions. And if it is, you know, since I've had to make this decision and I really don't have a choice, it is of personal reasons, I really hope that this board considers not waiting to do whatever it is, the status quo, to have someone replace me. I hope that they can act swiftly and decisively and install Mr. Tiff to become a member of this board as soon as possible. And thanks again to everyone who have been there over the years, the children, the staff, the community, the administration, and my fellow board members. Thank you.
And Board Secretary.
Is that a motion?
Yes, a motion.
So you have to have a second.
Yes.
You made the motion, I have a second.
Yes. Thank you.
Roll call.
Discussion.
What do you need discussion?
This is theatrics.
Talking about theatrics. Is this decision?
It's final.
Mr. Ostreicher.
Since we're in discussion, I think I can discuss it as well. What I would really hope is, as we've honored the wishes of many that have had to do things before, that at the very least you know, and you've served with me, you know how passionate I am about it. I would beg this board to move decisively and quickly at installing Mr. Tiff to be here. He has served with many of us. He is concerned about the schools and our children. And if I could, it wouldn't even be a question. I am begging us to act. I know they say that we've put it in the paper and we put the position out there, but I know for a fact if we so desire, we can do it. And I hope that we would act in that way. But as far as me, what I've said is final. It is with a heavy heart. And it is what it is. And I would hope that this board would recognize, many of you have served with me a long time, and some is short. But you know that I love this town, I love these kids, I love this school, but right now, some of the things that I have to contend with will not allow me to serve as diligently as you must serve to be a member of this board. You cannot just show up here. You must have the time, the energy, and the effort to do what it takes, or you are not serving appropriately, and I do not feel with what's going on, I can effectively and appropriately give this town and these children and this community what they need. So I beg of this board to let Mr. Tiff become a part of this board, because I really believe he can add what is needed, and we won't miss a step, and this board will be as strong as it's ever been, and in many cases maybe even stronger.
Thank you. There's a motion, and it's first and a second. Please call it. As far as accepting the resignation, and if you want to, number 2 would be taking Mr. Tiff as
That was
that wasn't his motion.
It was
That
part
was
of
a
my
recommendation, that was not part of the motion.
It was part of my motion.
Can he make a motion for that?
You can make a motion.
All right, let's do this. Let's first, let's all keep calm.
We have it in 2 motions. I mean, is it?
The first would be, I said that, did I not? So, why did I? To accept the motion to resign. Please call that to accept Lenny Thomas's motion to resign. Please call that.
Mr. Fink?
Yes.
Mr. Brunhut? Yes. Mrs. Micchio?
I know Mr. Thomas is going to do what